think having a label is an extension of the artist. So, you know, things down to like the artwork and the branding and, you know, what goes into that. It's a way to sort of speak to your audience. I think that's what I've always wanted to do, is be able to really just express myself as freely as possible.
What's up, guys? Happy Thursday. Today, I am super excited because I am bringing back a former Elevated Frequencies guest, Maxinne. She was actually one of my first guests, and when we chatted back then, we talked a lot about her travel schedule, kind of what she does for self-care, and today, we are completely pivoting because we are talking about her new label, Red Alert. And artists, you need to listen up because she's giving you a step-by-step breakdown of everything she had to do to set up the label, from branding to PR to distribution. This is an inside look at the process of how to actually do it. So if you think that that's part of your artist journey, then this is going to be really practical advice for you. Enjoy. It is so nice to talk to you again. I'm so glad we got a chance to do this. We had some scheduling conflicts, but now you're back at home, right?
Yeah, I'm back in Southampton now. I was checking when our last one was. I think when this goes live, it'll be like almost a year. It's crazy, really? Isn't it, how quickly time goes?
And it feels like no time has passed at all.
I know. It's mental. It's always like that, though. I think in the music industry as well, we're always sort of like planning ahead, like we're planning like what events we're going to be going to and playing at, like, you know, 6 months in advance, and like releases. So it's always like we're always thinking ahead, and it always comes around so quickly. So
I know. Yeah, I like, not to talk about COVID, but I always think about pre-COVID times versus now. Right when we all got out of the pandemic, it was like, it just felt like I couldn't go to enough things and couldn't do enough. And now I'm like, okay, I've been hitting the gas pedal for like 2 years straight, and I need to calm down. Is that how you feel too?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of promoters as well, like they felt that, like as soon as things opened up, like everyone was going out, and then it just went wild for a while. But I think things are in a good position now. I think people are just so grateful. Like if you think back to like what we actually went through, it's like weird to think that like the whole world got affected by it. So yeah, it's just good we're now back to normal. It's definitely grateful for that.
Yeah, so much gratitude. And I know that you've been really busy in touring. I was so bummed. I saw you did a B2B with Kai William at Music Week, and I like got there. I touched down in Miami like at the time you guys were playing. Oh, and so I missed it, and I was so sad, but it looks so epic. So I'm assuming you had a really good time in Miami, like despite all the weather BS.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the time that the storm happened, I actually left. So I was in Miami from like Monday, and the weather was amazing. And then on Friday, when like the storm hit, I actually left to go to a gig in New York, in Brooklyn. I played at Silo. So then I was looking at everyone's stories online, and it was like pouring down. There was like floods everywhere. And then I came back on the Saturday, and like the rain had stopped, so I'd like just missed it. But it was it was mental though. Like it was a shame that some of the things had to be shut down and stuff. But yeah, it was really good. The back-to-back with Kai was really fun. How was yours? Did you have a good time?
I did. You know, I think the promoters did a really good job. The events that I was at of just shifting and responding quickly, like. I can't remember what day it was because it's a blur. Maybe it was Friday when it was really bad. The party was outside. They moved it in, they delayed it, then moved it inside. And it was so intimate and cool and like felt like almost like, I don't know, it was just like a pop-up. And then, and then they went back to normal when the weather passed. So it was good. It ended up being
everyone together, doesn't it? In those situations, like everyone just comes together for the music, and it sounds like, everyone still had a really good time.
Exactly. It does. Because you're all there to have fun. So you're just going to make the most of the situation no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to talk to you about what you have going on, because the last time we chatted, it was all about like gigs and traveling and just like how you keep your life together. But you told me that you are actually working on a pretty big project.
Yeah, so over the last like couple of years, I've been sort of working on it like more firmly, but it's always been something that I've like had in the back of my head for a long, long time, is to set up my own record label. Like obviously I've released on other labels, which has been really great. But I just wanted to set up my own label, just have my own platform, to have an outlet for my own music. I think it's important to be able to sort of like express yourself really freely as an artist. So I feel like with this platform, it's going to be really exciting to be able to do that, and also release music from people who have been like supporting over the years, and also like playing their music. So. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's all sort of coming together, and it should be sort of like putting out the first release within the next few weeks. So yeah, really buzzing about it.
That's amazing. So I called my brother earlier. He's a producer as well, and I said, can I ask, how many people do you think who are artists actually want to start a label? And he said, not very many. And I said, is that because it's hard? And he said, yeah, it's hard. And so I'm curious, what was your like impetus to do this? Why, instead of just releasing on other labels, and you've had a ton of success, why did you decide you kind of want to take this like entrepreneurial route and have your own thing?
I think it depends on like what level and extent you want to sort of take the label to, because you've got like some of the bigger labels that are releasing like every single week, and a lot of work goes into that. Sometimes they have a team behind it, and so much work goes into that every single day. But then you've also got other imprints, which are smaller imprints, and they just they put music out sort of like when they want. It's not sort of like we have to stick to like an exact sort of like time frame with it. But yeah, they just put music out freely. So they're not putting stuff out as regular. So not as much goes into that compared to like the bigger labels. But I think with me, I think I've always wanted to have a platform to be able to just express myself as freely as possible. So, that could be down to like, putting out albums, putting out EPs, singles. I think like, it's also an extension of me. I think having a label is an extension of the artist. So, things down to like the artwork and the branding and, what goes into that. It's a way to sort of speak to your audience. I think that's what I've always wanted to do, is be able to really just express myself as freely as possible. It's great releasing on other labels because, it opens you up to their audience, the PR side of things. And it's always great to be sort of like releasing on other labels, but there can be some restrictions in place with that. They have a release schedule that, they have their own sort of like time frame with things. So you might want to put something out in like 6 months, but, they want to test it out first, right, for a long time. And then if they then agree to release it, they might not have a schedule to release your track for like another 6 months. Sometimes you end up waiting quite a long time. So there's restrictions in place like that. And sometimes they might want to change the track. They might A&R it and say, can you change this little bit, which is great because, they are experts at what they do. But I think, as an artist, if you're playing the tracks out in your set and your audience is responding to those tracks and they love those tracks, and I think I've just always wanted to have an outlet to be able to share music just as freely as possible, really. But it's also something that I want to build into like more than just a label. So like I have plans to also do events with it in the future. So yeah, it's all sort of coming together and step by step. But that's my kind of vision for the label.
I was going to ask about that, but before I do, about like the next steps, was there a moment, and you don't have to like tell me like, oh yeah, this label did this and it pissed me off, but was there a moment where you felt creatively stifled, or was there something that like a defining thing where you're like, this is the reason why I have to have my own label? Or was it just kind of a culmination over time as you've built your career where you're like, this seems like the right move for me?
Yeah, I think, like, to be honest, even when I started out as a producer, there was always other artists that I really looked up to. And what I kind of saw in their path was that they all had, you know, their own platform as well. Like, they all had their own, like, label imprint, or they might have like an event series as well. So it was always something that I was just like really inspired by, even when I started producing. You know, like, there's, yeah, and that it kind of is, like I was saying earlier, it's a way for those artists to really sort of like, it's an extension of themselves as an artist. So everything they put out is like all their influences put into one, and all their inspirations, like, so their audience can listen to the music and go, wow, like, that's exactly who they are. So I wouldn't say there was like a point where I was like, oh, they've, you know, this is it, like, I want it. It's not, that's not really why I've decided to run a label. It's more just having that complete creative freedom, and yeah, just being in control of it as well. I think if I could pick one thing, it would probably be like, you know, having to sometimes wait a long time. That can be slightly restricting as an artist, because I think naturally we're always evolving, like we're always sort of like growing and evolving. So, you know, you might want to put something out, but then if you have to wait like 1 to 2 years, sometimes, you know, things slightly change. But it can be a good thing, it can be not so good. But I think for me, it was always just like having complete freedom. And I've always had like this vision for my label as well, like the brand, like how I want to.
Can you say what it is yet? This will come out 2 weeks from us recording. So are you allowed to say what the name of the label is and the branding?
So yeah, it's called Red Alert. So my album that I released nearly 3 years ago was called Red Alert. So yeah, that was always the name that I wanted for my label even back then. But I just wanted to sort of wait until I was at the right time to kind of put all the branding and stuff into place. That's what I've been working on over the last 6 months. But yeah, it's called Red Alert. The sound of the label is what you would hear in my DJ sets. So it's tech house, but I hate saying just one particular genre, because I think when I'm picking music for my set and also to sign, like, it comes from more of a feeling, I think, when I'm listening to particular sounds. So there's influences in my music from, like, you know, music that I've been inspired by over the years. So it's like hip hop, garage, soul, you know, there might be soulful vocals in there, you know, punchy drums, like percussion, groove. So it's, yeah, I'd call it house and tech house, but to be quite broad. But I think when I'm signing music, it's definitely like, it comes from a feeling, 100%. Like, I can be picking out songs for my sets, and I'm not particularly looking at, you know, what specific genre it is. It might be in the minimal, deep tech, or the tech house, or the house, but it's always like a feeling for me. That's how I select my music.
I remember too, last time we spoke, you said that you're really inspired by like your travels and the people that you meet and the places that you go. So that makes a lot of sense that it's more, you know, based on feelings. So when you're an artist, there's your artistry, there's, you know, playing gigs, but then there's all these other avenues that you can traverse into, you know, having merch, doing events, having a label. One thing that holds people back, I think, is the fear of starting something new because it's so overwhelming. You mentioned like events are going to be the next step, which I want to get into. But what was like, if you could, maybe it's not this simple, but if you could boil it down to like, I want to start a label, step one, what are like some of the first things someone should do if that's on their radar?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think when I think back to years ago when it was just an idea, I think back then I was like, oh, there seems like so many things that I need to do to get to the point of like even launching it. So like you said, it can be quite overwhelming, but I think if you just break it down, and also timing is right, like if I had have launched it sort of like a few years ago, I probably wouldn't have been ready. Like there were certain things that I was really focusing on back then, and like goals that I wanted to achieve, and certain labels that I was, working towards. So it would have been a lot, I think, to do that. But just creatively, like I just feel 100% ready to do it now. But if you could break it down into steps, I think you come up with a name. You need to know like your sound and like what genre it's going to be. And then I've been working with like really good designers. So I work with a graphic designer to come up with like the artwork, which is I think with branding, like it's that always seems quite overwhelming for me, because I feel like once you've got your logo and your design and your artwork, for me, like I wouldn't want to change that. Like you can change it, like we probably will further down the line, but I think initially you want to stick with that and you want to be like 100% with it. So I've been working with a graphic designer to come up with the logo, the artwork template, and also for like the logo, I didn't want like the font. I didn't want like just a font as a logo. I wanted it to be like an actual like icon. So that was quite a process, lots of back and forth with the designer, just tweaking things. And then we came up with an initial idea, and then I came away, had a little think, went back to him and wasn't 100% happy with it. So then we came up with a new concept. So yeah, there's a lot of back and forth with that. And then once that was nailed down, I then started reaching out to like motion graphic designers to come up with like a concept for like the Out Now videos and the promo videos. So what that is like an extension of like the artwork, but you're putting it into a video format so that, when the music's being promoted and like the app, when it comes out, you have your artwork asset, but then you also have your videos as well. So that was a process, but the people I've been working with really understood what I was like, my vision and everything that I wanted to get out of it. So yeah, they absolutely nailed it. I'm so pleased with everything. So yeah, once the designs are done, it's then you want to work with a distribution company. So a distribution company will be the one to send your tracks to all the stores to be, streamed and bought. So like Beatport, Traxsource, Spotify, Apple, all the stores. So I'm working with a really good one, which are going to be like managing the label. So they'll be listening also and sending through demos to me if they get them through. They'll be pitching like the tracks for like Spotify playlists, radio and things like that. So that's the distribution side. So then once that's in place, they're kind of like the main things really. And then when it gets closer to like the actual releases, like I wanted to get like new press shots. So I planned like a photo shoot for the launch. So I've just had that done. So you work with like get a good studio, and then you come up with a mood board for the concept of the photo shoot. So there's all of that. And then, and then I suppose closer to the release as well, you want to be working with like a service that is going to be like a PR service. So they will send your tracks out to their database of DJs so they can download them for like playing in their sets and also like on the radio. So the PR companies will have like a big long list of people who they send music out to. So that's really important as well, so that you get the right support on your track. So there's loads of really good services out there, and they all kind of pretty much do similar things. But some have like a list of people who might be a little bit more tailored to like what your sound is and everything like that. So yeah, I suppose that's kind of like a really short step by step of like what you would need to do. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else.
No, that's great. So
I think that's it.
So it's your branding. It's making sure that your assets are ready to go so that when you do launch, you have enough stuff in the hopper. It's the distribution and then the PR. And I don't know about you, but like the branding your own thing can be so stressful because you want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
And like, I can tell you, it's almost a year of this. My podcast went live June 1st, 2023. So I'm almost at a year.
Amazing.
And I've already redone like my promo photo shoot twice. I've updated like the website so many times. I'm constantly tweaking things. And I think that's like a trap that any creative can fall into, because it's your thing and you want it to be perfect.
Yeah. I think that's part of being a creative. We're always trying to like perfect things, but I think sometimes it's just about getting started, like once you're, you feel like you're happy with everything, get going. And I think it's that momentum of getting things rolling that will lead you on to, perfecting things and tweaking things further down the line. That I think that I 100% agree. Like that's what I said earlier with like the branding side of things. When I was working with like the graphic designer to come up with the logo, like I knew that I really wanted to nail the logo, because I just like, it's like when DJs get their logo done for their name. Like obviously, you can always change these things. It's fine, but I think once you start using them a lot, people then can identify that logo with you, and it becomes like your brand identity. So once you've like got the logo and everything, then you can kind of stick with it. But I'm sure further down the line I'll be, maybe changing things and stuff. But I think for the launch I wanted to, and that's kind of why the idea was always in my head from years ago, but I wanted to make sure A, like I felt ready, and also B, like I knew what I wanted it to be about, like the branding and the music and everything. I really wanted that to be clear. So it just felt over the last year, that's when I sort of started really putting things into motion properly. Now it's all in place and ready to go.
It's really exciting. And you have like relationships now. Obviously you've been doing this for a while. And so I think one trap that people fall into as well is they want to do everything all at once. And like good things take time. And, being able to like another example with this podcast, I focused on getting like one aspect of it down really well before I started improving the next, because I knew that if I tried to improve too many things at once, then what truly is important if you're trying to do it all. And so like for you're talking about these building blocks. That's really what makes like a successful brand and a launch. And so you said that like the next evolution is going to include events. And I want to ask something that's taboo in the music industry, because, we obviously, creatives do what they do because they love what they do, but you also would like to make money to support yourself in doing what you do. And I know that with streaming alone, like we all know that streaming is not a reliable form of revenue. I think Snoop Dogg said he made like $46 last year or something from millions of streams. So can you
imagine like, and that's Snoop Dogg. So can you imagine like what it's like for underground artists?
It's criminal. It's completely criminal. And so it's forced artists to find different revenue streams, whether that's merch, whether that's having private communities. And obviously events is a way, even though throwing events is not easy. I know that. And so, but that's a good way to kind of evolve the brand, evolve like your label, and find a way to monetize. So was that a factor for you? Because I just want people who listen to this and who are potentially interested in starting a label at some point in their career to be realistic.
I think for me, it's more about like just being out. I really want to connect more with my audience. So like obviously over the last several years, I've have releases out on other labels, and I've connected with like the audience of those labels, and then I've been on tours. But it's also just a way that I can just be sort of like in control of like how I'm able to like connect with my audience and play music out to my fan base. I think that's something that I've always wanted to do. And with the event stuff, we're gonna probably start off doing stuff in London, because that's where like I'm from. So I want to do stuff in London and then kind of like build it out from there. But yeah, no, it's more for just being able to like showcase who I am as an artist, and also just like connect with as many people as possible that want to come and see me play. If there's like an audience that really want to see me play like a tour in a certain place, then I'm in control of like actually creating that. And I just love creating, so I just want to be like I want to have this platform so that the creative side of things, I'm able to just take hold of that myself and really just express myself as much as I can.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's essentially removing like those layers of bureaucracy and control from the creative expression side, like you said, with the tracks itself, but then also doing in-person events. Like you can control who else is on that lineup, the vibe of it. And that's like a really powerful thing. I mean, there's this whole concept in marketing about like owning your audience, and the fact that if you have an audience on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, Twitter, you don't actually own that audience, because the platform could either shut down or shut you down at any time that they want. So like, how do you truly own your audience? And you have to make that connection with people one-on-one, whether they are on your email list or they pay to, get content from you, like whatever it is. And so this is kind of like the same concept. It's ensuring that the people that want to like truly are obsessed with your artistry are going to get that access.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also like, I want to be able to showcase other DJs and producers, through the label and through the events, because, there's producers that I've been supporting over the last several years, and, playing loads of their music. And if I can have my own platform to be able to book them to, play on these events, then that's obviously going to elevate them as well. There's a guy called Giordano Roosevelt, and we've just signed a 2-track EP from him. He's from Ecuador. So his music's supported by so many people in the industry. Like he gets played all over. So I'd love to be able to have him on board, and we've got the EP from him is going to come out around September time. But I just want to release music that I like absolutely am in love with. Like, so this EP from Giordano, I've been playing his tracks, this particular EP, for the last 2 years, I think. And he hadn't got it signed. So when I was talking to him about launching the label, it just felt right to get him on board and have that as an outlet for his music as well.
I love that. I feel like that's like the universe like was holding out for it to, be released on your label. That's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
So what about, because I have, friends who do A&R, and just other people that I've spoken to, other artists, whether they have a label or not, who get sent music all the time, and they really want to be able to, listen to everything that comes their way. But obviously you have other responsibilities. It's a big job to listen to tracks. So are you doing that yourself, or do you have help?
Yeah, I'm going to do that myself. I think I've always like loved that, having more personal sort of like one-to-one touch with the music. I'm using track stacks I'm using track stacks in general, like to be receiving promos. I don't know if have you heard of track stacks before?
I haven't.
No, so it's a new platform for DJs to receive demos and promos. Because sometimes DJs get music sent through like all different forms. You get them on Dropbox, on email, on SoundCloud links, through SoundCloud, through Facebook, through Instagram. So it's like all over. But what Track Stacks have done, they've created this platform to have everything all in one. So say, for example, you're a DJ and you wanted to receive music from other DJs, you would have a link that you would put, like you could put it in your Instagram bio, or you could share it on your platforms, and people would send only through that link. They wouldn't send it through any other way. So they wouldn't email it, they wouldn't send it through Instagram, and so it just makes it really organised, and it is a really useful platform. Like, I've discovered quite a few producers through there. There's a guy called Max Mash. He's French, and on my track stacks, like, I just kept seeing his name like popping up, and I was listening to the demos, and I really like his sound. So he actually he was out in Miami recently, so we met for the first time there. So it was a really good way we connected through track stacks, but then we actually met in person. So yeah, it's a way to just keep everything really organised, and that's what I'm going to do with Red Alert. I'm going to have everything all in one place. So there'll be a link for the demos, and then people can just literally upload them to the link, which is really useful. And also, it's really good because there's a feedback. Like, when you respond to a track, it notifies the person who sent the track, because sometimes people are like, wondering whether it's been played or has it been downloaded. They just don't know. But in track stacks, that artist who sent the music will get a notification saying their track got downloaded by so and so, or it got played, or they could put supported. Like, if I wanted to react to the track, I could put like, I'm supporting this track. So it's a very clear and organised platform. So yeah, that's how I'm going to kind of stick to receiving the demos. But obviously, there's people, I like connecting people also, like, on a more one-to-one basis, like through, it might be like on Instagram. I get people sending me music on there. So I'm gonna like, my aim is to obviously listen to as much as possible. I think it really goes a long way. Like, I don't think every label realizes like how useful it really is to someone that when their track gets played by labels. I think no matter how long you've been in the industry, you can send your music out, and you're still going to get no's. You're still going to not get your tracks played. Like, it's that is just part of it, So I think it's just about sort of accepting that that's how it is. But when you do get like the responses from the labels, and they come back to you, or they might give you a little bit of feedback or something, like that goes such a long way. So yeah, I think that's something I'll always have with like the ethos of the label as well.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, speaking to you last time, and you told me about how you love like meeting the people that come to your shows, and you really like aim to develop relationships wherever you go. It's so on brand for you, and I commend you for that, because it's a lot. And everyone makes mistakes in their career, and maybe they don't know how to pitch themselves correctly the first time. And I've heard like stories from other artists where it's like, can you believe this person sent me this track, and like, look at their email, it was either straight up rude, or like there's not even full sentences in here. So I know it's not an easy job to just get everybody sending you things, and especially you being such like an empathetic, open relationship, like driven person, which is a beautiful thing. But I can imagine that can be like also challenging, because
100%. I think when you know what you said there about like specific ways people write emails and stuff, like if someone just sent me a link with like no pleasantries, like no sort of like, even like my name, hi, like that, I probably wouldn't, I'm not gonna respond, because I just feel like they haven't really put that much into that whole, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's nicer when there's more of a personal touch, or you can see that they've like been supporting you before, like they come to like your gigs, or they're sort of like, they've been on your radar for a bit. But sometimes people just pop up out of nowhere, they're not following you, and they might just send a random like a link with no thank you or anything like that. So you get that as well. But I think the ones who are a bit more personable, like people who you may have met before, I'll always put as much effort into,
Yeah.
get back to those people. And I think that goes a long way as well, as like try and meet like the label owners, like if you can, like not everyone's sort of accessible to meet, like, but if there's like, if there's like a label owner that's going to be at a certain event, or might be out in Miami for Miami Music Week or Amsterdam, it's like these music conferences where you're going to sort of like see a lot of these like label owners. But if you can meet them in person, I think that goes such a long way, because you just remember that their name and their face, and you put two and two together. So when they do send that email or that message with the demos, like you can put a face to a name.
Yeah, it takes more effort, but it's so worth it. And the person that you're sending it to can sniff out whether or not you've done your homework, or if you're just like trying to railroad your content to them. Like now I'm starting to get so many requests to be on the podcast, because it's, been around for a year. So it has a little bit of recognition. And like, I'll have people say things to me like, oh, can you put my artist on your radio station? I'm like, I'm not a radio station. And, I can tell the difference between it. Maybe it's just an accident, or like they'll say things that it's like, have you even watched 5 seconds of my show? Like, have you done any sort of baseline research? You know what I mean? And it just like,
don't you?
Yep. And so it's just like, I feel like, for people who are going to watch this and are excited to send Maxinne tracks, please do your homework and don't bombard her with BS, because it's just like, it's just not going to be worth your time. You're going to be wasting your time if you don't put a little bit of thought behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that I want to release music from people who like, that I'd have that genuine connection with, like, not that I don't have to necessarily know them like super well, or but just to have, it's more of an organic, like you can tell it's authentic, like you might have been playing their music for a while, so it feels organic to release music from them. So obviously I'm going to get music sent from people who I've never heard of before, but I'll always try and listen to, I'm always going to be wanting to listen to as much as possible. But 100% agree. I think having that, just doing your research and just, knowing a bit about the label is definitely key.
So with this coming up in just a couple of weeks and everything else you have going on, is there anything, I think we talked about this a little bit last time, but is there anything like that you're doing to just manage juggling everything with your schedule? Any like boundaries that you've set now that you're adding on like this extra layer to your career, self-care, whatever?
Yeah. I think, what have I been doing recently? I think I'm always trying to like stay fit and healthy, whether that's like being in the gym or just eating healthy, looking after my body. I think that's how you look after yourself sort of has an effect on like everything else. So that's always been key for me. Being organized. I think having like good time management really helps. So like at the start of the week, I'll always like plan like what I'm gonna do for that week. I've kind of now I use like my on like a Mac computer, you've got like the mail, the Google Calendar. I just use that a lot now. So like for the week, I'll just like input things, because I find sometimes if I like write everything that I need to do, it can be a bit like, whoa. But if you actually just break it down and go, actually, no, today I'm going to like prioritize each thing. So like today I'll do this, and just breaking it down. So I've been using that a lot more, like the calendar, and just, being a bit more organized with that. But with the label, like I'll still be releasing on other labels. I've got some releases coming up on some other labels as well. So I'm, just like getting those planned, and then that along with the label and touring. But I don't know, I think when you really enjoy what you do, you just naturally put a lot of time into it. So I'm always sort of working on something.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so true. It's not the cliche, it doesn't become work, but I love the scheduling tip about the Google Calendar, because I even now go so far as to like, for people who are going to be listening to this, they're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? But did you see that thumbs up thing come on the screen? There it goes again. Did you see it? Oh my God. What's happening?
There's now fireworks.
What's happening? This has never happened before, ever.
What the heck?
Oh my God, that's so funny. Well, I guess it just means it was a really good interview. This
That's
is the first
so
time.
random. Has that never happened before?
Never. I am so confused, but it's perfect. It makes great content.
Oh my God, I love it.
Oh my
There's
God.
like
Anyway,
fireworks going on in the back. Hilarious.
I think that means it's like the finale. It's time to wrap it up. You have given us so much good information, like practical tips. And I love that we dug into the ethos of your brand, because, in today's world, we have so many options as consumers. And so people really choose to engage with brands that align with their values. And, you have a value-driven label on the horizon. And so I think that just permeates through your branding of who you are as a person. And I'm really excited to see it come through in the branding, of the label. And I'm just looking forward to it all.
Thank you. No, thank you. It's been so nice to catch up with you again.
There are so many different places that you can take your artist journey, and I hope that this episode has you thinking about what you might do next. I'm not saying you need to start a label, you don't need to throw events, but this evolution in Maxinne's career is a great reminder of what is possible if you continue to put in the work, you continue to build relationships, and you continue to believe in yourself. And speaking of that, if you guys have not already signed up for early bird ticket access for Chicago Music Nexus, now is the time. Chicago Music Nexus, we're revolutionizing the way that knowledge and opportunities are gained in the dance music industry. We're going to have panels on how to monetize your brand as an artist. We're going to have panels on how to build a team of experts around you, like PR agents and managers. And you're going to be able to network with these pros, all while enjoying some of the best food and drink Chicago has to offer. The sign up for early bird access, it's in my Instagram bio. The tickets go on sale on June 21st. We have a very limited amount of tickets overall, and especially limited amount of early bird tickets. We are making this event intentionally small, intimate. We want you all to leave with tangible opportunities in your pocket. And for that reason, it is going to be a tight-knit event. You do not want to miss this. Sign up link in my bio. As always, I will see you guys next week.